Matthew Goode's casting in Zack Snyder's Watchmen was met with extreme criticism, which the actor did not initially take well, as evident in his first response. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Matthew Goode was aware of the backlash on his casting, which was evident in his shocking response that did not sit well with fans. Ozymandias was the superstar type of villain from Watchmen, and Goode not embodying the character's physical appearance was the main issue. Everyone loves Matthew Goode in Netflix's Department Q for his critically acclaimed performance as Karl Mork, but this was not the case when he starred in Zack Snyder's Watchmen. The 2009 superhero movie endured mixed reactions from fans, but it was Goode's casting as the villain Ozymandias that received the heaviest blow. What's even more shocking is that the actor never truly felt confident about playing the role. He knew he wasn't the perfect fit, but Snyder was adamant about hiring the English star. The decision backfired in the ugliest way. Still, Snyder said Goode fit the bill and did an excellent job playing Ozymandias. The filmmaker admitted it was a challenge to find an actor who was both handsome and sophisticated, although he did not think twice about hiring the Downton Abbey alum. He heard the negative feedback from his friends, and according to the British tabloid The Sun, via the playlist, the actor remarked, "If fanboys still hate the film after going and seeing it, they can all line up and suck my D.K. I don't give a f.k." He regretted saying those words as reflected in his conversation with Huffington Post, revealing he was not really sold by his own casting. "I wasn't convinced that I was the right choice to play him. And there were a couple of remarks I made in a very offhand, facetious, jokey way." Goode said he was the only one hired by Zack Snyder who didn't resemble the character, while the rest of the group was pretty much accurate, appearance and age-wise. He did spend time overthinking about that project, but he was young and carefree, so he might as well just enjoy the opportunity. Apart from admitting he should not have been cast for the part, he also discovered that the art still had Jude Law's face. He supposed the Sherlock Holmes star was meant to have the role, but he was too expensive to afford, so they settled for Goode. David Corenswet saved James Gunn from making the same mistake as Zack Snyder with the Superman suit. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. In a recent Fandango interview, David Corenswet appeared alongside co-stars Rachel Brosnahan, Nicholas Hoult, and the writer, director/producer of the upcoming Superman, James Gunn. The cast joined Fandango host Perry Nemiroff to tease what's ahead in Gunn's upcoming superhero movie. While avoiding spoilers, the conversation subtly turned to Superman's iconic red trunks. In the world of superhero cinema, every detail matters, and for Superman, that means his infamous trunks. While Zack Snyder tried a modern gritty take on Superman with Henry Cavill in the 2013 hit Man of Steel, and it did make the front pages for its CGI-heavy visuals and seriousness, there was one major omission that still irks fans to this day: the iconic red trunks. Stripping Cavill's Superman of a classic comic book element in favor of a sleeker look was indicative of Snyder's decision to distance the superhero from the original hopeful, colorful roots. Fast forward to 2025, and we've got another Superman waiting to save the damsels. And it looks like David Corenswet, our newest superhero, might have been the one to convince director/producer James Gunn to stick with the OG trunks. The decision to ultimately include trunks in the upcoming film was deeply influenced by Corenswet himself. For him, the trunks weren't just another part of the costume but the very thing that defined Superman. They were a part of the mythos that kept the otherwise intense character a little grounded in silliness, just as a clever contrast to his powers. Gunn recalled, "One of the biggest questions was, were we going to have trunks or were we going to, not have trunks? I talked to Zack Snyder, who was like, I tried a billion different versions with the trunks, and at the end of the day I tried it, but I couldn't get there, and I was feeling exactly the same way. David, he tried in not trunks, and he tried in trunks, and I still was going to go with not trunks, and then you said..." Corenswet chimed in, "Well, you wanted trunks in theory. But the problem is they look kind of silly. You were looking for a way to make them look cool, or you were looking for a function, an explanation for having them, justify them, and my thing was just, maybe they're supposed to look a little silly, maybe the reason he wears them is to look a little silly, basically to undermine how powerful he really is." Zack Snyder's decision to omit the signature red trunks for Henry Cavill's Superman in Man of Steel might have been rooted in realism. We get it, he wanted a Kryptonian warrior, not a 20th century Boy Scout. But his approach, while visually impressive, led to serious critique surrounding Cavill's incomplete superhero suit. The decision to ultimately include Trunks in the upcoming film was deeply influenced by Cornsweet himself. For him, the Trunks weren't just another part of the costume but the very thing that defined Superman. They were a part of the mythos that kept the otherwise intense character a little grounded in silliness, just as a clever contrast to his powers. The return of the Trunks in Superman 2025 will be a sort of emotional reassurance for fans. Fan reactions across social media to this return to an OG Superman tradition have been extremely positive. The enthusiasm highlights how even the tiniest of details in costume design can have the biggest impact on how the character is perceived. The red trunks are more than just a throwback to the original Clark Kent. They're a visual anchor in Superman's design. In the comic books, the trunks helped break the bodysuit's monotone silhouette, making the character more iconic and balanced. Eventually, the trunks came to be a tradition, religiously followed by the writers of Action Comics. Zack Snyder had to battle with the rating board over Batman v Superman, revealing the board's issue with the iconic superhero showdown. Welcome to Stats In. If you're just joining us, please subscribe and don't forget to turn on notifications bell for more video. Released back in 2016, almost a decade ago, the film is one of Snyder's most contentious films of all time. Even though the two superheroes have gone against each other in the DC Comics multiple times, Snyder once revealed that so unfathomable was this idea to the rating board that he had to fight to keep the film's PG-13 rating. Zack Snyder's DCU, or what we more commonly call Snyderverse, is long dead and gone. However, despite their debatable nature, Snyder's DC flicks continue to be watched and talked about even today. One of these flicks is the horrendously reviewed Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. And Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice bears the majority of this criticism, thanks to its polarizing concept of pitting two of DC's most iconic heroes against each other. The concept was thought to be found so problematic for the big screen that the Motion Picture Association wanted to give the film an R rating instead of a PG-13. Zack Snyder is a brilliant filmmaker, yet he has always been a polarizing figure in the world of filmmaking. Especially when it comes to his vision for DC, the fandom is generally divided between two groups. One who wholeheartedly loves and enjoys his dark take, and the other who vehemently hates and criticizes his take. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice is rumored to have been made against a budget of $250 million to $325 million, via The Hollywood Reporter. Despite the huge spending, the film was not as successful a feature as one would have expected, grossing only $874 million worldwide, via Box Office Mojo. While it did manage to remain in profit, the film was a critical failure and currently has only a 29% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Back in 2024, during an interview with Joe Rogan, Snyder revealed how he had to fight to get his film a PG-13 rating. They kept making it an R. We were like,